Today we're actually going to zoom out a little bit and look at our world maps, okay? Because we've been looking at our maps of Louisiana and even different parts of Louisiana and different communities within Louisiana and what you can find in those different parts and different communities. But I want us to zoom out so that we can say exactly where in the world is Louisiana. To do that, we're going to learn about hemispheres and we're going to do more practice with our compass rose. So you'll be able to identify the four hemispheres by the end of this lesson, and you'll be able to use a compass rose to read maps. It's something you should be able to do, but this practice is going to make sure that that's a skill that you have. So first, you're going to need to draw your compass rose, all right? In part one, there are 3 boxes for you to draw your compass rose. I need you to make sure that you just don't draw the star, but you also draw the directions, okay? There's sayings that can help you remember the directions. Never eat soggy waffles. Never eat sour watermelon. You can mix it up a little. Never eat soggy watermelon. Never eat sour waffles. Whatever helps you remember your different directions of north, east, south, and west. Because, sometimes you're going to get a compass rose that doesn't have your intermediate directions, so you're going to need to know what those are. And you're going to have compass roses that actually don't give you any directions, okay? You're just going to need to know what your directions are. So go ahead and take that time to draw a compass rose on your worksheet on part 1. Draw 3 of them in each of those 3 boxes and make sure to label your directions. You don't need the northeast and southeast in between directions, just your northeast, southwest. Make sure you do it 3 times for enough practice. Now you're going to take that world map at the bottom on part 2 and you're going to draw your compass rose there so that you can use your compass rose to start reading your map and you can tell which direction is north, south, east, and west. So it should look something like this. Thanks to the computer, my world map is in color. Yours is not. That's okay. Now we're going to be learning about hemispheres. A hemisphere means half of a sphere. And we see that that can also mean half of the Earth. And so we're going to look at the different hemispheres, the way the Earth can be split up into different halves to help us understand it. So first you need to know the equator. This line, it goes right through the center of the Earth, and it's going to divide the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. There are lines on your map that measure how far north of the equator a place is and how far south of the equator a place is. Those are called latitude lines. I hope we get a chance to look into those more later, but for now, you just need to know your equator. Make sure your equator is labeled on part 2 of your map. Now remember, your equator is going to separate your northern and your southern hemispheres. This is where knowing your compass rose is very important. You're going to need to know which side is the north and which side is the south. But we can also divide the world into east and west. And so for that, we have this line called the prime meridian. Now real quick, the equator, the prime meridian, who decides where these lines are? Well, humans do, okay? There's not really a line you can see across the earth and the ocean or on land. These are just imaginary lines that people create so that they can organize the different parts of the world. Now, your prime meridian is going to separate your east and west, and you can use longitude lines, just like you use latitude lines, to measure how far east and west of the prime meridian is a location. Make sure you label the prime meridian on your map. Remember, your prime meridian separates your western hemisphere and your eastern hemisphere. You gotta know your directions or you won't know which one is the west and which one is the east. So, we've looked at our world maps, but where is New Orleans? Here's a world map of a few major cities. You can see that New Orleans is on the map. Let's describe where is New Orleans in terms of hemispheres. Well, I see it's on the north side of the equator. So that's going to mean it's in the northern hemisphere. And I see that it looks like it's on the, what is this, east or west? West side of the prime meridian. So it's in the western hemisphere. New Orleans is in the western hemisphere and the northern hemisphere. Now, there's other ways to split up the world too. So we can also split up the different large chunks of land into the world into continents. There's seven: North America, South America, Africa, Asia, Europe. You're going to be learning more about these later. But what you need to know now is that New Orleans is in North America. That's what continent New Orleans is in. Each continent, though, is separated into different countries. New Orleans is located in the United States, also called the United States of America, or the USA for short. Then the country of the USA is divided into different states. So the state that New Orleans is in is called Louisiana, down here in the southeast. That's what state Louisiana is in. Now, we zoom in even more and we get even more detailed. The state of Louisiana is separated into different parishes. New Orleans, as you remember, is in the southeast corner of the state, and it's in a parish called Orleans Parish. Good. We went all the way from our world map, zoomed into the continent that we're in, zoomed into the country we're in, zoomed into the state that we're in, zoomed into the parish that we're in to know exactly where New Orleans is. Good. Go ahead and answer the rest of the questions on your worksheet. And I hope this helps you understand where in the world you are. And we'll talk later about more map skills and more about New Orleans and Louisiana.